Hello once again, everybody. In this video, I want to talk about the Trump assassinations. I want to just kind of walk through them, kind of off the cuff, from my own brain type of thing. And I don't know why this thing's hesitating. Let me know if it's causing you any issues. But anyways, there's some things that I want to go over from a situational awareness frame of mind, from a military frame of mind, and I'm not going to try to, as nobody should, be something you're not, but still, when you understand certain things, you understand certain things. So let's go through the the whole first attempt, the second attempt, and then the third attempt, and really think through what in the world is going on. For instance, are these really individual lone wolf things that are happening, or are they something different? And I think that when you look at it from the point of view of standard operating procedures and from what would be just, I don't know what you want to even say, but there's only certain things that make sense. When you again connect dots that should be there, or you can't connect dots that should be there, and you're connecting dots that are there that don't make any sense, it begins to draw a picture for you. And so not only do I want to go over these things with you out of my own mind, but I'm going to draw from somebody who has been in the field in a different way. And in this respect, in the field concerning presidential protection. You're all going to know who he is, I'm pretty sure. Some of you may not like him, but I'm going to tell you from a personal point of view that the things he's saying, I know are true and accurate. And I know that from people that I know personally, or that either are or have been into the personal presidential protective service. And that would be more than one person. Okay, that would be in different venues, and there's different aspects of that job. There are, and I'll just kind of draw it out for you. There are those around the White House that are in uniform. They have a badge. You can readily see who they are. They take their post day in and day out. They check people in, they check people out, they watch the cameras, they do this and that. Then you have those who are on the rooftops. You have those who are in the black suits. And you have those who are in presidential detail. You have those who are in VP detail. You have those who are in senatorial detail. You have those who are in former presidential detail. You have those who are in extended family detail. And they're all under the umbrella of protective services, but some of them are in different divisions and some of them are in the same divisions, but they carry out a different detail. They carry out different assignments. They're all trained in certain general areas, and some are trained in specifics. And I can tell you that when I play these videos for you, that what is being said is accurate. And so I want you to keep that in mind. Excuse me. I want you to keep that in mind when you're listening to some of the things, and then, of course, to things that I say. I just want to make sure that I'm set up here because I've been really doing a lot of different things here. So, balance, there we go. Box one. Okay, we're good to go. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is the first attempt. Now, the first attempt we know was in Butler, Pennsylvania. We know that this was done with an AR-15 from 100 yards, and a 20-year-old chap decided to try to take the shot, and it appears as though that there were other gunmen involved as well because of how things were set up. We also know that this person was on a rooftop way too close, out in the open, for everybody to see. He was ignored by police. He was ignored specifically by Secret Service. And that in and of itself is very telling. Now, it is Secret Service's job to be completely and fully aware of the area. They go in early, they go in before, set it up, they go in prior and sweep. They are then there so that once it is the area is swept, then nobody else comes in behind them and sets up shop, as happened. And these things just don't happen. I mean, you're supposed to be able to take a president or a candidate, former president, which in this case, Donald Trump is both a former president and a candidate. And so, therefore, he's going to have very good, or should have a very good detail around him taking care of these things, along with working with local law enforcement. That would be usually sheriff departments and local PDs. If it's in state venues, then you would add state police. So the whole thing really started smelling fishy from the moment that we heard about it. Okay. The person that I'm going to share with you and draw from will then go on to talk about the second attempt and the third attempt. Yes, there was 3. And the second attempt, which gets even crazier, but is along the same line. So remember I said you connect dots that should be there, they paint a picture. Or you don't connect dots that should be there, that paints a picture. Or you connect dots that should not be there, and that paints a picture. And so we're going to go into this just a little bit. So the first thing is the story conflicts depending on who's saying it as far as the rifle is concerned. And some say, oh, it was an SKS. And some say, no, it was an AK-47. And then there is the 110-yard shot, and then there's the 300-yard ordeal. Now, the SKS, if it is first of all, let's understand something. There are different manufacturers of AK-47s, just as there are different manufacturers of AR-15s. And not all AR-15s are created equal, and not all AK-47s or SKSs are created equal. And just so we understand the difference between all of the above, the 5.56 round is basically a elongated 22 caliber with basically 3 times the weight of a 22. It goes from 55 grain to 65 grain. Maybe some have a little heavier grain for specific purposes. Then you get all into the other types of ammunition, the projectile, but we don't need to worry about that. The SKS is 7.62 by 39, which is a 30 caliber ball, and it is in the same range as the 308, the 30-30, the 30-06, and of course they have different grains. It's in essence a 30 caliber ball with more or less powder behind it, depending on what round you're talking about. And the SKS has a longer barrel, and it by default comes with a 10-round magazine that is attached to the butt or the bottom of the stock of the firearm. An AK-47 comes with detached magazines. Generally speaking, they have shorter barrels, and then when you get into the sniper editions of the barrels, they're not called AK-47s anymore. And the weapon that I saw on the news clips and what have you was in fact an AK-47, a newer style. I don't know what the make was. It was not an SKS. It was a short barrel, so that is significant. And then I mentioned also that just like AR-15s, AK-47s come from different manufacturers. You have Russian manufacturers. You have third block or third tier manufacturers like Romania, Czechoslovakia, Croatia. And then you have Chinese-made AK-47s. And all of them, well, and then I should say you have stamped receiver AK-47s and you have milled receiver AK-47s. And what this means is that based on the manufacturer, based on the country, you get the quality of metal in the barrel and you get the quality of metal in the receiver. If it's a stamped receiver, which many of them are, most of them are, it is basically a cut out piece of metal, bent and riveted together, and is made very quickly. Of course, if it is a milled receiver, then it comes with a blank block and it is milled out, it is much stronger, and those are harder to come by. Now, the significant thing here is the accuracy of the AK-47. Now, what I'm not going to say is that the AK-47 could not spit out a ball or a projectile at 100 yards. It certainly can. It is questionable as to a 300-yard shot. What I am going to say is that an AK-47 is, you'd be hard-pressed to be super accurate at 100 yards for two reasons, or three. Number one is that basically what I said is depending on the quality of the metal in the barrel and the quality of the rifling within that barrel to create the stability and the velocity to keep that bullet straight and not wobbling as it goes downrange. In other words, it's not going to come out of the barrel sloppy. It needs to come out of the barrel clean. Secondly is the amount of powder behind it and who makes that particular round that was being used. Was it a Bear ammo Russian round? Was it an American-made round? Was it a Chinese-made round? Where did the ammo come from? And what powder was in that casing? So you have those variations. And then you have the powder versus the weight of the ball. So putting all these things together, the AK-47 is definitely a 100-yard gun. But I will tell you this, if you are shooting at somebody's head with an AK-47, you're probably going to hit them in the torso, or you're going to miss. You certainly, at 300 yards, might as well be using a slingshot. And that's just the way it is. So when you have an assassination attempt on somebody, let me back up. If you are a sniper and you are a professional and not in this venue here, but working for us, there is no way on the planet you're going to use an AK-47 as a weapon in this particular venue. Now, what you might do is have one for close range and close quarters combat. You might have that. And you might do so only so that you're not leaving a trace of your native land behind you. You're using their junk on themselves, and you're dropping it as you exit, as you exfil. So you're not looking at that particular weapon that this guy was using in the second attempt to do what he was attempting to do. Now, what you might do is you might pick up a long barrel, which I believe is called AK-74, which is what the Ruskies use for their long-range shots. That might happen, but that's not what this guy had. Okay, that's not what he had. So right away, that sends red flags as to what in the world is going on. Secondly, they say that he was there for 12 hours. So there's two things to that. And the first is that this dude wasn't trained. He doesn't have, he's not trained sniper. So he's not going to stay in one spot for 12 hours in his own pee and poop. And nobody said anything about energy bars or anything, or liquid or electrolytes for liquid or anything like that. No sustainability whatsoever that it would take to stay there for 12 hours and to stay still and hidden for 12 hours waiting for a target. This knucklehead is not going to do that. So where they come up with 12 hours, I don't know. But everything around it says that that didn't happen, nor could it happen. And the second thing about that is, if he was there for 12 hours, where was the Secret Service sweep? It wasn't. It was non-existent. So that's the second thing in this ordeal. Okay. Then there's coming out a whole lot more about this, and I'm going to share with you the first thing, and I want you to pick up on this and listen to this and tell me yourself where, you know, what does this sound like to you? I mean, really, what does it sound like to you? So here's the first video clip, and go ahead and give it a listen.
World Central Kitchen was nominated by Democrats for a Nobel Peace Prize. Look, he is obviously very well known. Oatmeal Brain knows him. He even gave him a double-armed handshake. And then the president even tapped him to lead the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. This guy must be really important. Oh, I mean, of course, he's friends with Harrison Walls, too. Why wouldn't he be? I mean, looks like he's a celebrity chef to the Democrats. But, wait, he's also friends with this guy. Whoa, that's weird. Hold on a second. He's friends with him, too?
Oh, okay, so.
Wow. What is...
So what you're looking at here is connections. Connections are very important. Connections are very important when you compare them to the rhetoric that is being spewed that people are listening to and swallowing hook, line, and sinker. I'm going to explain that in a second. But notice who the person is on the left who's tied to Biden and then to whatever his face is over in the Ukraine. And let's keep going because this is going to get rich.
What is this guy doing hanging out with this guy in Ukraine? And hanging out with this guy
in Ukraine.
And hanging out with this guy. Mm-hmm. And apparently he's hanging out with those two also. Do you think World Central Kitchen was not...
Okay, so so-and-so is hanging out with so-and-so is hanging out with so-and-so, and they're all tied to the Ukraine. Now, what does that smell like to you? And then we have Donald Trump, who says he will work to end the war in Ukraine so that nobody else dies. Nobody has to die. But yet the Democrats constantly say that he's out for blood, that he doesn't care about anybody, and that he wants to destroy the country. But yet he's the one that is saying he will end the war. He will work. Now, he's saying he'll end the war. We can say he will work to end the war, but he's saying he will end the war. But that's not the rhetoric that we hear from the likes of Pelosi and Clinton and the mainstream media, otherwise known as the government's media hand. And we've got people on the street who are buying this crap hook, line, and sinker. I know them personally. And so just keep this stuff in the back of your hat. These connections are very, very important. Now let's take a listen to the person that I said I was going to draw from and see what he has to say. This is Dan Bongino. Now, I'm going to tell you, Dan Bongino, I don't know him. I don't know him personally. I listen to him every now and then. He's former Secret Service, that is presidential protection. And he is saying, number one, what I know. And number two, when it comes to the relationship of the protection of people he does not like, he's saying exactly the same thing that the people that I know that do the job say. So I know he's not lying. So if you don't like what he says and you say he is twisted, or you say he has an agenda, or you don't want to hear him because he doesn't line up with your agenda, then you're the problem. You don't want to hear the truth. And it's that simple. And by the way, that's indicative of the last days before judgment comes on the earth from God's hand. Now, I'm not saying I care for his talk or anything like that, but I'm telling you, he's telling the truth. Let's take a listen.
Assassination plot every 21.62 days now. This is insane. There is a Trump rally up in Nassau County, New York. I lived there for a long time in Wantagh. Lived in Suffolk as well, the adjoining county. Trump has a rally up there. Yes, up in New York, which should tell you something. Winky, winky, nod, nod. The Trump team knows something a lot of people don't. However, putting the politics aside, just moments ago before we got on the air, according to sources of mine and now breaking in the media, they found explosives in a car at the site. And the most incredible thing happened. Secret Service promotions came out yesterday, and Dan Bongino, the judge, I nailed it again. And every single person in the management chain in their protective operations office got a promotion.
Okay, so why is that significant? If you connect the dots, every time the federal government goes in and changes the landscape and screws things up and does unconstitutional things, they do lateral transfers and promotions. We can start back with Ruby Ridge and Randy Weaver with the Batmobile. The dude that led that got a lateral transfer and got a promotion. Same thing with the Boston bombing crap, which I knew about 7 days before it was going to happen. I didn't know what city, but I knew that it was going to happen 7 days before it went down. Same thing with the Bundy, Uranium One thing. 7 days before they took that, I knew something big was going down with that. They killed Finnegan in the snow. You tell me why I knew 7 days before. And the same thing with Waco. What's his name? David Koresh, I think was his name. And every time they do these things, they just shift people around. And you can see this. You can see this with all these non-elected appointments in the finance, in the intelligence, and in the logistics of the country. And this is why a president goes in with good intentions and doesn't know who to trust, because these people are in every aspect of influence inside the Beltway. And all they do is play musical chairs when they do their dirty work, and they get big promotions, and we get to pay for it. Okay? Happens every time. And it's happening, it's going to happen again. I don't think this is the video I wanted you to watch, though. I think this is the one I wanted you to watch. Let's listen to this, and we'll come back to that video.
Folks, something really sinister is going on. I want you to put two and two together here. You've got this second assassination attempt at Donald Trump that goes on, right? You've got a guy that apparently has been recruiting, according to multiple reports here, a guy who has been involved in overseas activities, recruiting people in foreign conflicts. That should be setting off bells and whistles. And then the same day, in a story I'm going to cover in a little more detail tomorrow, you've got the Ohio governor, who, by the way, is a Republican, but is no friend to the MAGA movement at all, saying that a bunch of foreign threats, bomb threats that were initiated in his state in Springfield in response to a story they're trying to pin on Donald Trump, have all originated from overseas.
Okay. Now, I just put out a video on the P. Diddy thing, and I pointed out with the video, well, I showed you with the video of a police officer in Millersville, Tennessee, who's doing, him and his department are doing a massive investigation on the human trafficking, the fraudulent mortgages, and the whole 9 yards that is tied to the bricks, it's globally tied, and it's all the same rhetoric. It's all the same talk. What are they trying to do? Well, we know what they're trying to do. What I don't understand is that who in this country could actually get behind it? Who could actually support it? The common people on the street. But anyways, I just don't fathom it, except for one thing. And we'll get to that in a moment. Let's continue listening.
There is something really sinister going on. The October surprises are already here. I know you all are savvy. Big show for you today. And a freaking humiliating press conference yesterday, again, by the Secret Service director, who cannot seem to acknowledge that they cannot do their job. It is just stunning. It takes a victory lap in front of the American people. A Byrna's non-lethal pistol launcher equipped with tear gas and kinetic ammo incapacitates an attacker for up to 40 minutes. That's BYRNA, Byrna.com/Dan for a 10% discount. Big show today. The current management of the Secret Service, ladies and gentlemen, has altered American history and may do it again, because if nothing changes at the top, I'm telling you, Trump's not going to make it to Inauguration Day.
Okay. What did he say? They're changing the American landscape. Put that in your head. I've been telling you this has been coming since 2010. It's actually been coming since beyond 2001. 2001 is when they started putting it in our face. You know what I'm talking about.
It's that bad. That's how little faith I have in these people at the top. Hey, the economy's been a major burden on the average American. Wages are flat, expenses are up, and it's very hard to manage to pay all the bills without grabbing for credit cards. If you're a homeowner and you're frustrated with that cycle, I need you to make a 10-minute no-obligation call today to my friends at American Financing. Interest rates are coming down and are now in the low fives. And if you're constantly carrying a credit card balance each and every month with a rate in the 20s, American Financing can show you how to put your hard-earned equity to work and get you out of debt. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are saving their customers up to $800 a month. If you get started today, you may not have to make next month's mortgage payment. Call American Financing today. Don't wait. 888-994-7660. That's 888-994-7660. AmericanFinancing.net. It's a .net address. AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 182334. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. APR for rates in the fives starts at 6.014% for well-qualified borrowers. Call 888-994-7660 for details about credit costs and terms.
Man, Dan, I could have done my own commercial.
No, that's not it. You got to work that out, man, okay? I want to show you this video first before I get started on the Secret Service thing. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot is happening right now. There was just a report this morning, there's multiple reports, there's video, a bunch of Hezbollah fighters in Lebanon, a bunch of pagers they were carrying because they're afraid to communicate by cell phone anymore. The pagers went off. And what happened? The answer is their balls were blown off and a lot of their reproductive units downstairs, if you know what I mean. Play that video if you would for me, please. There's one of them right there. Oh, my gosh, there goes my testicles all over the, what are those? What are those, limes? Limes, testicles? You put the to take them out. We know almost nothing about. The only reason we know anything about this guy is because he's still alive. And the current management of the Secret Service is doing almost nothing with the limes. Folks, the current management of the Secret Service has really altered U.S. history. Nonsense. They have, I mean that in the actual sense that they've altered U.S. history. The assassination attempts on President Trump. Listen, all of this has political fallout. It does. I wish there weren't politics involved in everything, and I wish this stuff wouldn't have happened. But the hard reality is people are starting to realize right now that there's one person everybody wants to get rid of in the deep state, in the elite class, the bow tie wearing folks eating the foie gras lunches every day, and it's Donald Trump. It is not a coincidence that this guy, they've tried to take him out twice. And the people who've tried to take him out, we know almost nothing about. The only reason we know anything about this guy is because he's still alive. And the current management of the Secret Service is doing almost nothing.
If we get too much information on this guy, he won't be alive. Keep that in the back of your hat.
Nothing to correct this. They're not. They've added a few enhancements, but they've done nothing. They're still using old, antiquated protective models I told you were going to fail. How much failure are you willing to accept? How much? You know what? Let me skip ahead to the Ron Rowe videos. Go to Ron Rowe's first video. Here's Ron Rowe, acting director of the Secret Service. Here he is yesterday. He's blaming, again, the off-the-record movement. I'm way ahead of everyone on this stuff. I told you this yesterday. Did I not? You're ahead of the news cycle. He's saying, oh, it was an off-the-record movement. And he's saying the layered security plan works. It doesn't work. If the layered security plan worked, the outer and middle layer wouldn't have failed. Check this out.
So at this time, it was an off-the-record movement, meaning it was not on the former president's official schedule. And what I go back to is the layered approach. The elements and the methodologies of the Secret Service. There was a front element. It did its job in sweeping ahead of the president. That's what identified this individual who was in that wood line. And the swift action of that agent doing his job.
Folks, that was a complete lie. If they went in ahead of him, then where did the gunshots come from? He popped off gunshots. If they pre-swept, where did the gunshots come from? Because he just said that's where the agent caught him before Donald Trump came out. And they identified, the Secret Service identified that the pops were gunshots. He just told a lie. I'm with Dan. I don't trust him.
Job pushing out ahead, sweeping while the president was behind him several hundred yards and several holes.
Oh, sweeping while President Trump is there. That's a no-no. You don't do that. You sweep before he arrives. You put people in place so that nobody comes in after the sweep, and then your guy arrives. That's how that works. This guy purposely had them do it wrong.
Holes away, out of sight from the gunman, did his job, and that was what alerted the detail, and the swift action is what triggered
On the
that.
first question, was there any evidence to suggest that the suspect knew that Donald Trump was going to be on that golf course at that time?
Based on what I know now, and it's an active investigation, I don't have any information on that side.
Now, again, if this was a spur of the moment thing, then how did this dude know to set up shop and wait for Donald Trump? Tell me that. If you can't make this stuff up.
On that.
I don't even know what to say about how bad this guy is. It's not only that he goes up there with this profound sense of arrogance as if he deserves a pat on the back for nearly getting the president killed twice in a couple months after being the most politically active deputy director and acting director we've had, with stupid comments about, red ties on the agents. The arrogance of this guy, that he has not yet stepped down in disgrace, is unbelievable. He blames the OTR movement, which I tweeted out early. This was going to be an OTR. Here's the incredible. Is anyone in the press thought media people, get your pens out again. Homework time. Is anyone in the media going to ask him this question? Acting Director Rowe, you're saying it was an off-the-record movement, so you're implying what? You didn't have the time to properly secure it? Is that what you're saying? Because it's interesting that you didn't seem to know that the president was going there, the former president, but the suspected killer did.
Exactly.
Anybody thought to ask him that? How is that, Acting Director Rowe?
Exactly.
That a potential assassin beat you guys on the intel front? You didn't think
Where
to
did
ask
he
the
even get
president,
it?
were you going to go today? Or did you know earlier and you just didn't secure the outer perimeter because you just didn't, like you didn't before, because you didn't do your job? Has anybody thought to ask him that? Folks, listen, I need to interact with you guys in the chat, because this is unlike my radio show. We don't have callers. Please tell me, is this a stupid question?
Nope.
He made 2 points here, and both are freaking ridiculous while he's taking a victory lap yesterday again. Well, it was an off-the-record movement, and, we didn't know to it. Well, the killer knew, so he beat you guys on the intel front. Okay, thank you. Folks in the chat, I appreciate your feedback, because sometimes I think I'm crazy. I think maybe because I have some experience in this space, maybe am I overreacting? The bad guy knew more about where you were gonna be than you did. You didn't even think to ask the former president?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know yesterday said they probably knew about 10 minutes in advance. They probably knew a couple hours in advance.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than enough. I've got some new info. It's more than enough time to get people out there. More than enough to do an external perimeter sweep. And then, ridiculously, this guy again, Director Rowe, says the layered approach works. Again, media people, pens out, write this down. Director Rowe, you're mentioning this layered approach and the success of the layered approach. Well, what exactly are the layers? Oh, okay. He's probably going to tell you, well, there's an inner ring, a middle ring, and an outer ring. So you're suggesting to me that the outer ring, which should probably be in sniper range, which is generally out to 1,000 yards, that he walked right into the outer ring, into the middle ring,
Yes.
into about 300 yards of the president, but then you just said the layered approach works. The layered approach failed. You're telling me you were relying on one agent who thankfully had his eyeballs open at the exact time to see a rifle barrel protruding through a chain link fence, and that's the best you can do?
They were counting on these agents not doing their job, because they weren't doing their job. One did their job, and one is not going to get promoted. The rest will. As Dan said, they just all got promotions. I guarantee you the agent that caught that dude did not get a promotion. I guarantee it. As a matter of fact, he's probably sitting behind a single desk with a single phone that never rings. Just my guess.
When is this guy going to resign, man? Do you understand if this cat was in a ghillie suit and had not poked a rifle barrel through? If this guy was in a ghillie suit, President Trump probably be dead. Where was the thermal imagery? Where was the infrared cameras? The guy would have stuck out like a sore thumb. Your outer and middle layer failed. Why is no one asking these questions? Do you not want to know the answers? Folks, the guy is not safe. I can't say this to you enough. He is not safe. The Secret Service management in charge now are absolutely incapable of keeping President Trump safe. He will not make it to Inauguration Day under this leadership. He's just not going to, it's not going to happen.
They're counting on that. By the way, this dude is sitting in the fringes between the two layers in bright red, white, and blue, in all kinds of weird colors. Like Dan said, he's not in a ghillie suit. This is the same dude that is recruiting Afghanistans and Syrians and whoever else, and somehow getting them papers to be able to go to the Ukraine and fight. How is he doing all that? In other words, who does he know? Remember, it's important as to who he's associating with. Remember the first video? Oh, he's hanging out with him, and he's hanging out with him, and he's hanging out. Who is this dude hanging out with? Who is this dude hanging out with in the Secret Service? Is the next question that should be asked.
Happen. They have absolutely failed this guy. How much failure are you willing to accept? Here, New York Post. Would-be Trump assassin exploited a security hole the Secret Service has known about for years, and the pictures prove it. A bunch of photographers and newsies have been poking their cameras through the fence line getting pictures of Trump for years. You didn't know? No, you did know, because they told you about it. And you just what? You just didn't do anything about it. Folks, they just didn't do anything about it. Don't look for a complicated answer when there's a simple one. Occam's razor, given all possible explanations except the one that's the most parsimonious, right? The simplest. This is a simple explanation. News photographers knew that there was a visual line of sight problem on the golf course, and they exploited it to get photos taken in the line of sight. Line of sight is also an issue for snipers. The Secret Service has known about an Iranian threat and a long-range one for years. Why didn't they secure it? Jim, why didn't they secure it, Producer Jim? Because they didn't want to.
Why didn't they want to?
You have another explanation? They didn't know. They did know. Put that up again. Put that headline up again. They did know. They did know. Would-be Trump assassin exploited security hole Secret Service known about for years. Why didn't they secure it? There you go, Jim. Because they didn't want to. Here's another one. Put up this other one, the next one here, about that was not searched. The place was not perimeter searched in advance. Folks, I assure you, even if you had 10 minutes notice, and I'm hearing they had longer, even if you had 10 minutes notice, you have teams that know the president golfs on the weekend. You know he's probably going to golf at somewhere close, Jupiter or Palm Beach. You know that. Why not get a team out there that goes and searches the fence line? Guys, again, please, I need your help looking at you. Are these dumb questions? How many of you in the chat have any security experience at all? I'm going to guess a lot of you don't. You have other jobs and do other really important things. If President Trump asked you with no training or experience at all today to act as his security and said, I'm going to play golf, is your first instinct not to go, hey guys, can we go check out the golf course to make sure there's no like snipers waiting there? Why didn't they search for snipers? Because they didn't want to.
And why didn't they want to is the next question that needs to be asked. Okay, so in any case, I'm going to queue up some other videos while I'm talking to you because I want to get on to some other things. This question, why didn't they want to, needs to be answered, and we're going to answer that in some way, shape, or form. I didn't see this. Let me see. I'm not sure what's going on here. Let's check this out real quick. What just happened? Oh.
Check this out.
It's stunning. It was only 1 month ago, about like 5 weeks ago, we were told that the CIA had foiled an attempted assassination plot against Donald Trump by a Pakistani national with ties to Iran who was plotting a murder-for-hire operation to have somebody in the United States shoot Donald Trump. Now, Ryan Ruth, I have an article pulled up right here that was cited by Raheem Kassam, where this is Ryan Ruth was seeking recruits from among Afghan soldiers who fled the Taliban.
Now listen to this.
Mr. Ruth, who spent several months in Ukraine last year, said he planned to move them, in some cases illegally, from Pakistan and Iran to Ukraine. He said dozens expressed interest. He actually said thousands on his Facebook page. And then Ryan Ruth continued, we can probably purchase some passports through Pakistan, since it's such a corrupt country, he said in an interview from Washington. So Ryan Ruth is bringing Pakistani nationals through Iran to his warfighting effort. He's the guy who, we're told, just attempted to assassinate Trump. A month ago, the CIA said they had advanced knowledge of a plot to assassinate Trump that was connected to Pakistani nationals traveling through Iran. Now, you know, not to put the cart before the horse, but Ryan Ruth sounds like exactly the operation the CIA described a month ago.
Exactly like the operation. I'm reading the chat as I play the cut. Obviously, I know what the cut is. I, sent it over myself.
Okay, so I would agree. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Now, we have to understand something. Before all of this, he was a felon. Oh, by the way, this is the dude they're saying had a weapon of mass destruction, which was an AK-47. I'm going to tell you a weapon of mass destruction is something like a cruise missile, perhaps, an atomic bomb, a Hiroshima, perhaps, a photon laser, perhaps, a poof go bye-bye type of weapon, a now I lay you down to a dirt nap weapon, but not intact kind of thing, something that like a neutron bomb, that's a weapon of mass destruction. Even a fully auto AK-47 is not a weapon of mass destruction. So they're going to not let any crisis go to waste, so to speak. And in this case, a crisis that they create. So this dude is a felon. He has weapons that they already knew about. Where did he get them? He doesn't know what he's doing as far as sniping. He goes overseas and recruits all these weirdos to do operations in the Ukraine and apparently here. And where is he getting his funding? The dude had he had his own self-employment business. It looked like he maybe had a crew of 2 or 3. He did roofs. Is that funding everything that he's trying to pull off? Probably not. I don't think. I mean, he might be a great businessman, but looking at the MO right here, he's not got all his marbles upstairs. So I highly doubt if he has enough business to to fund fighters for Ukraine or anywhere else. So the point is that what they're saying right now carries validity. It does. It carries validity. And you got to think about this. Now, this ties in to what Dan said earlier. They're changing the American landscape. They're changing the American history right before our eyes. And there are American people that are okay with how this is going down. I'm going to search through this. I think there's something else I'm trying to pull up, and if he doesn't hit it, I'm going to pull it up from another spot. But I think we've heard enough along these lines. You get the gist. You get the idea of what is being said. And I think we'll go ahead and listen to that first video a little bit more and pick up from there and then move on to some of the things that I really want to get into. So let's take a quick gander.
Yet we're averaging an assassination plot every 20.7426 days right now. How many times do I have to tell you this isn't even the last one? Nothing has changed. I'm going to prove it to you yet again. I've got that, just more stunning news out of the Middle East, and that's actually related to the Secret Service threat too. The Secret Service can't even stop a guy in the woods. You think they're going to be able to stop a bunch of pager bombs? Are you kidding? Hey, you've heard me rave about Beam every week. Go get it now. Stop delaying. Get a good night's sleep.
We're not doing that. Okay, let's see what we got here.
IRA or 401k, get your free situation for Donald Trump before there are changes made in the management of the Secret Service. Folks, people just got promotions yesterday. There is a division of the Secret Service. You have protective intelligence, investigations. You have basically their internal affairs. Then you have protective operations. Protective operations is the branch of the Secret Service that runs, guess what? Protective operations. Shocker. What a coincidence. Do you realize yesterday the promotion list came out and all of the people on that in that protective operations branch got promoted? The deputy assistant director to assistant director, one of the assistant directors, now the deputy director. If you're scratching your head saying, what the needs to happen here, I keep telling you, nothing is going to happen. Not with the Biden team, because they never fire anyone. They don't want you to know how incompetent the government is, how the Secret Service management has failed, so they just let this happen.
Like I said, this has been going on at least since I remember, since Randy Weaver. And it's not just Secret Service. This goes across all the non-elected departments and agencies, just so you know.
More breaking news from Susan Crabtree, who's one of the few reporters who's been all over this Secret Service story. This is just, I'm trying to really tamp down the, this is astonishing. Did we not on this show tell you after Butler County, Pennsylvania, that if you don't have aerial dominance from a surveillance point of view and from an aerial dominance point of view, in that you can keep an aerial threat like a drone, say a small plane that wants to crash in your site. How many times did we tell you after Butler County, if you don't have aerial dominance, you don't own the site? Did you all, folks in the chat, did you hear my show over and over? You don't own the air and you don't own what's underground. If there is something underground, like in New York, where we have subways and stuff, then you don't own your site. This is crazy. This is like nuts. Like we have to mention movies and stuff because the Secret Service's lack of imagination. You ever see that movie? You guys ever see that movie Salt with Angelina Jolie? She's the Russian assassin. How does she get the Russian president? Do you remember the movie? She goes underground in the subway, detonates, and he falls through the ground. It's insane that we've got to start citing movies to say to the Secret Service, you know that kind of stuff can happen, right? You don't get paid to think, will it happen? You get paid to think, can it happen? Because if it can happen, you have to think of a way to freaking stop it. Drone surveillance using thermals and IR will pick out a guy on a roof and a guy in a wood line. How do you not know this? Susan Crabtree tweet. From what Ron Rowe said yesterday, the Secret Service did not have a drone flying to surveil the golf course before discovering a man was lying in the bushes for 12 hours with a rifle pointed at Donald Trump. A source in the Secret Service community said, someone asked why the drones weren't used on Sunday, and Secret Service leadership said they weren't needed, and they did a good job. Oh, we got to take a break. I mean, leave the stream, but I genuinely don't know what to tell you right now. I don't because I can't fix this.
I do.
The Biden team's not interested, obviously, in anything I have to say because of my politics, which I understand. The Secret Service is obviously not interested in anything I have to say, despite having seen every angle of this, having seen the political side, the security side.
The key word here, Dan, is agenda.
I'm telling you.
That's the key word.
This is not even the last incident today, the one that happened today. There are going to be more because the people running the Secret Service, damn it, how many times do I fucking have to say this? I've told you I've been through this before. When they threw the grenade on stage at President George W. Bush, for 2 weeks, there was because they overran the magnetometers. For 2 weeks, they were like, we got to get more magnetometers. And then you know what happened 2 weeks later? They went right back to normal. You know what's going to happen after Assassination 1? What happened after Assassination Attempt 2? They went right back to normal. You know what's going to happen after the bombs are found today? Nothing. In 2 weeks, going to go right back to normal. I don't know what to tell you guys. If you're sitting there going, Dan, someone's going to get killed. Yep. Here, I want to read you something. This is important.
Listen to this.
What's that? Someone's talking to him? Oh, well, yeah, Corey Comparator voice guy. I want to read this to you. This is very important. This is from an agent friend of mine. Because I want you to know that it is the management doing this. The guys on the ground do not want to be there with a freaking bomb next to them or a sniper in the wood line. I know we're sick of this, especially with the FBI, and I get it. Oh, the rank and file, I understand. I'm telling you, in this case, it's true. You think an agent with a wife and kids who wants to go see his kid's birthday party or the soccer game wants to be sitting there with a guy with an SKS in the wood line? This is from a friend in the Secret Service, or very familiar, let's just say. Let your audience know that the good, brave, dedicated agents who gave their hearts, souls, and health to the Secret Service are disgusted with the state of the management. They're a disgrace to he mentioned some really good agents. Good men who live with the embarrassment of the current incompetence every day.
I'm going to say something here. The same sentiments are true among veterans. Not all, but the ones I associate with, same sentiment. Just so you know.
Pardon the language here, but this is his words, and I'd be remiss if I didn't read them directly. Fuck these clowns. Let them quit. Let them twist. Keep sticking it to them, Dan. Thanks, bro. Obviously not going to say who it is. So, folks, I'm sorry, but don't tell me this is everyone. It is not. These guys are tired of a management team who won't give them the assets. A guy sent me an email during my radio show yesterday, or a message on the Rumble account. And he said, Dan, the way I find my dog in the woods, he lives in a wooded area, is I send a drone up with a thermal. And I find out where the dog is in 30 seconds. To the Secret Service management, I know you watch my show. What is it going to take for you to engage in a cranial rectotomy and pull your head out of your ass and realize that you're going to get the guy killed, the guy being Donald Trump?
That's what they want. The dudes at the top are being paid or being threatened to make sure that this happens.
And you're issuing promotions yesterday? I need some coffee. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. And yet the Secret Service management, guys like Ron Rowe and others, will make these little snide attacks directed at me just because someone wore the badge. Maybe I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, so we're going to skip ahead. We got that. We're going to skip ahead to something that is going in towards the agenda side of this. And I want to play this from different sources because we're going to make sure that we get it. This. Check this out.
Doubling down and claiming that, you know what, if she disagrees with your politics and you speak out online, that criminal bags and puffiness treatment and immediate effects and is a genuinely awful person. When she was running for the U.S. Senate, care, get right before your eyes. Here's Stephanie, your money back. So about 70% off. Flash dance, package order. And thanks, Jenny. Genuinely awful, terrible people.
Now listen to this.
Horrible. Everybody hated working with her. It was a punishment assignment. She is mean. She's malicious. Her own staff lies and pretends they like her. When behind the scenes, we would go out after a trip sometime, they would tell you how mean and awful she was. She is a terrible person. You want to know about a threat to democracy? Look up the last name Clinton. There's no bigger threat to democracy than these two buffoons, okay? Here's Hillary Clinton. This is after the second assassination attempt, but before the third of Donald Trump, the one we've...
So I can verify exactly what he's saying through people I know. She literally refers to the Secret Service, this is Hillary Clinton, as dogs. Just letting you know.
We've seen today, of course, right? Here is Hillary Clinton after the second assassination attempt, basically pinning it on Donald Trump and then doubling down and claiming that, you know what, if she disagrees with your politics and you speak out online, that criminal charges should be considered. This actually happened. We are now living in the communist state if the Democrats take over. That's not tomorrow, that's today. Check this out.
Just as Mueller indicted a lot of Russians who were engaged in direct election interference and boosting Trump back in 2016. But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrence.
Do you understand what she just...
Okay, do you understand what she just said? Do you understand who this is? We are talking about Hillary Clinton. We know that Bill got rid of a few people before he took the office and then afterwards. But, you know, Hillary tends to have an IT background. She knows right where to put information. Top secret, classified, national security kind of information. Oh, and then she knows how to sell it. She knows who to sell it to. And she knows who to get the passwords to when they give her the most money. Now, who's a threat to democracy? Oh, wait a minute. You know, she was involved in that thing called Benghazi. I have friends who were so lit up because they're part of the State Department. And she left them out to dry, her and Obama. Because she didn't want somebody finding out about her human trafficking and her selling missiles to the Iranians. Her and Obama. So she had an ambassador killed with collateral damage and left Secret Service and U.S. Marines out to dry. Again, I cannot understand people on the street who will still toe a party line and back this crap up. By the way, she was directly related to the toppling of Libya and Omar Gaddafi as well. She also called people that didn't agree with her, that would be me, deplorables. I guess, somehow the Democrats don't, look, I'm fed up with the Republicans. Weak-bellied, they're on the take to do nothing. I could care less about them. But don't tell me that people that love this country are deplorables. And don't tell me that people that love this country and want to toe a biblical and or a constitutional line are the problem. When this stuff goes on the other side, when the attempts of assassination are from your side, and you still support and back up these people, I'm calling you out. It's the same people that orchestrated January 6th, calling it an insurrection. Let me tell you something about the January 6th insurrection thing. A couple weeks ago, I was talking to somebody, carries a badge. Not going to say who, not going to say what. That individual said they were there January 6th during the time of the massive gathering of insurrection and the cameras rolling and everything else. And he said it was a ghost town. There was nobody there. And that whole thing was orchestrated for cameras. He said he was there when it was supposed to be going down, when it was reportedly supposed to be going down, and there was not a soul there. That was all Hollywood crap. Orchestrated by Pelosi and her ilk. Now, who's a threat? And by the way, we keep saying a threat to democracy. Whatever happened to the republic? You see, we're not a democracy. We have a democratic process, but that's different than a democracy. This country is supposed to be a republic. Can't get my mouse to work there. We're supposed to be a republic. This is why I created the title slide the way I did. I don't know how it escaped me. We're not a democracy. or a republic, by the people, for the people. So let's listen some more to this, because he's going to let old Hillary say a few things.
She just said, you have a United States Senator, former First Lady, and a woman who was within a hair's length of the presidency, was the Democrat nominee, who is now claiming, if you disagree with her politics, that not only civil charges should be considered, which is humiliating enough for her to say and tyrannical enough, that criminal charges should be considered. This is an actual quote. Listen to me. People out there considering voting Democrat, listen, please. Take the cotton out of your ears for a second, and please listen to what I'm telling you. I understand your frustration with the Republican Party. I have it too. Republicans are probably not the solution to all your problems. I get it. I understand that. However, I'm here to tell you that the cause of your problems are unquestionably the Democrats. So you have two choices in an imperfect world, okay? You can vote in a party that has a lot of flaws. Granted, I'm with you. I understand. I'm not here to defend what they've done. A lot of the government spending, a lot of the crappy expansions of government, a lot of the failure to secure the homeland, a lot of this is Republicans as well. They are not the solution. They could be, but they may not be right now. However, the immediate cause of your troubles, censorship, boycotts, forced vaccination, the explosion in COVID and the failure to anybody to respond to it the right way outside of ridiculous mandates and all this other crap, the national security issues we have overseas, the failure of the Secret Service and nobody gets fired. These are Democrats. The inflation crisis, the open border, the Springfield, Ohio immigration situation. All of this is them. We didn't do this. We may not have solved it. I'm with you, but we didn't do it. And in an imperfect world, sometimes you only have a binary choice. And in that binary choice, stop the bleeding first. If you're out in the woods and you trip on a rock and open up your femoral, what is your immediate need? Stop the bleeding. Are you worried about the plastic surgery solving the problem you need to have, your broken nose? No, that's not even a secondary concern. You want to survive. We cannot survive with these people. You have a Democrat nominee talking about throwing you in jail if you disagree with her politics. She's saying this on a cable news channel, and the news channel that should have immediately responded and said, we're members of the media with First Amendment protections, just like citizens. Mrs. Clinton, that's a disgrace. Senator, whatever you want to call her. Secretary of State, Madam Secretary. What you're saying on our network sounds tyrannical. No, they love it.
And that's what I'm talking about. How can you support this type of behavior? This is not American behavior. This is not constitutional behavior. And this has been going on for a while. Now listen to the same type of thing. Listen to this.
Try to kill Donald Trump again.
Nonsense against Donald Trump. She understands this is creating an enhanced threat environment, likely leading to multiple attempts on this guy's life. I want you to watch with Peter Doocy here, how she tries to pull this flipperoo here and blame the entire thing on Doocy for asking the question. Never, ever fall for this. Ignore the answer and ask the same question again. Watch this.
2 days since somebody allegedly tried to kill Donald Trump again. And you're here at the podium in the White House briefing room calling him a threat.
President Biden has been clear-eyed about the threat that the former president represents to our democracy.
How many more assassination attempts on Donald Trump until the president and the vice president and you pick a different word to describe Trump other than threat?
Okay. Did she just not admit who is behind the assassination attempts? And you people supporting the Democrats and Biden and Harris, and you'll vote for these people. Did she just not? And you guys keep pulling this all the time. Did she just not admit who is behind this? She did.
Peter, if anything from this administration, I actually completely disagree with the premise of your question, the question that you're asking. It is also incredibly dangerous in the way that you're asking it.
This girl doesn't have enough sense to say what she's saying. She's being fed. I'm telling you.
Because American people are watching. And to say that from an administration who has consistently condemned political violence,
while carrying out assassinations and attempts of assassinations.
Administration where the president called the former president and was grateful that he was okay.
Gotta play the part.
From an administration who has called out January 6th, called out the attack of Paul Pelosi, called out and said we need to lower the temperature.
Did she just not say Pelosi? Do you remember who tore up the State of the Union address after Donald Trump speech, State of the Union, which is a felony? Remember she ripped it in half? Pelosi did. She's still walking the planet. She's not behind bars. That's a felony. So you tell me who is a threat to this country.
After the Butler incident, and now for you to make that kind of comment in your question, because your question involved a comment and a statement. And, it is, that is also incredibly dangerous.
Folks, I can't believe this woman still has a job. It's dangerous to question unquestionably awful rhetoric about a presidential candidate who now has had multiple attempts on his life. It's dangerous to... You see what they do here with this flipperoo? By the way, this update is even more suspicious than the initial story. I'm following this as it breaks. Apparently, there's a news release by Nassau County Police. I got to read this because this is incredible. If this is true, I'm not sure what's worse, if it was an actual bomb or this story. It says reports of explosives being found at the Trump site basically are unfounded. Okay. There's a person who's being questioned who may have been training a bomb detection dog near the site. The individual with the bomb dog falsely reported explosives being found, and the individual is currently being detained.
Oh.
I'm real. A training exercise. It's fascinating how these training exercises keep happening. A guy's training a bomb dog near the site of the president days after another assassination attempt. Folks, I'm honestly not sure what story is worse. I'll keep tracking this. This is... My God.
Okay, so let's go to some other stuff. That's enough of that. So they keep talking about Trump inciting violence. And yet, things like this come about, this was done in 2018. Maxine Waters mocks, "I threaten Trump supporters all the time." Do you understand that if you make a threat to another individual, that's a jailable offense? You will get arrested for threatening somebody. Yet she admitted that she threatens in a mocking way Trump supporters all the time. Now you tell me, Democrat supporters, who is a threat to this country? Maxine Waters encourages supporters to harass Trump administration officials. That is subversion and coup d'etat, softening. How do I want to say this? This is what partly of what we do when we go in to topple regimes in other countries, when we want to remove leadership and administrations and replace them with our own junk. That's what she's saying. Who here is a threat? And yet they'll sit here and say the Constitution is a dangerous document. Yeah, if you're a criminal like them. There's Hillary Clinton's deplorable thing. Where there's a group here. And then we had, Tucker Carlson was attacked in a restaurant for sharing the January 6th stuff that nobody would let go. There's deplorable stuff again. She calls for harassing administration officials in public. And Trump calls her a low IQ. Can't say I disagree, but maybe she's got more IQ than we give her credit for. And then there's this.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they... We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient resources.
That is not a question of how they had been. They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepared for more, because it's stupid that we should be in a situation like this, because they thought they had what? They thought these people would act civilized? They thought these people gave a damn? What is it that is missing here in terms of anticipation? I just feel sick at what he did to the Capitol and to the country today. We take an oath to protect our our country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. There is a domestic enemy in the White House.
Well, Pelosi, maybe you should just walk yourself over and to the sergeant of arms and give yourself up. Because you have proven yourself over and over again to be that person. I don't know if you remember when Trump was elected, it was either Waters or Pelosi or Hillary said it's time to put the hit squads to take out, it's time to put the hit squads on the streets to take out Trump supporters. Now, I can't find that clip anywhere. They hid that somewhere deep. You tell me who in the world is inciting violence in this country. You tell me who is a direct threat to this country. And if you tell me Donald Trump, and I'm not, look, I get it if you don't like him. If you tell me it's the Republicans, Donald Trump is a Democrat, to be frankly honest. Why you don't like him, I don't know. Because he is a Democrat. He just went to the Republican Party to run as president because for some reason Democrats turned the tail on him.
Brow-raising comments.
I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is. We can't go back and give this very dangerous man another chance to do harm to our country and the world. They were merciless about what they saw as President Biden's, problems in the debate and calling for him to
Hillary.
withdraw.
Okay, here to react, Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Joe, good morning to you. So it sounds like Hillary Clinton does not agree with Republicans when they say that that kind of rhetoric is what is leading to these assassination attempts.
And Carly, it's just so sad. It's so pathetic to see Hillary Clinton continue her very public psychiatric therapy tour nearly, what are we at now, 8 years after she was defeated in an election that basically every pundit says was impossible to lose. She's still not over it. And there she is on national television last night with Rachel Maddow, who gets paid $30 million to work one night a week. Boy, can we get that contract? Saying the press needs to create a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is. I mean, that's an actual quote. Another one, he is a danger to our country and the world. 24 hours after Donald Trump is nearly assassinated again, and this is what NBC, MSNBC allows on their airwaves. And as you noted before the break, pushing this rhetoric will only drive somebody to try again until that person is successful. It's quite pathetic. It's the only word I could come to mind here, Todd. Carly.
Yeah, it does beg the question, what is it going to take for the left to stop? And I worry, Joe, that your prediction there, sadly, could be reality, but let's pray that does not happen. VP Kamala Harris will be sitting down for 2 hours, not one, but 2 hours with Oprah Winfrey on Thursday. This past Friday, she did her first.
Yuck. Okay, so again, Hillary, Benghazi Hillary, just spewing nonsense.
Violence has no place in this country. Right. Everybody.
And then she goes on The View and has to cover her tracks because she got blasted for inciting violence. This is what the Democrats do all day long. This is what communists do all day long. They say one thing, they do another, and they gaslight you until you can't even breathe. This is what they do. Again, I'm not a Republican. I would like to be. Well, maybe not. But they do nothing. Republicans do nothing. They're paid to do nothing. But this, and Waters, no, they're direct threats. And then they want to say that. But I'm telling you, whatever her face name is in the White House, she flat out told us who is behind. Come on. Who is behind this? If you listen to what she said, she basically admitted that the people pulling the strings behind the Democrat people there are the ones that are kicking off the assassination attempt. And I will tell you that they're being handled by somebody else. And Bongino nailed it. Looks to me like in a letter agency. And they are the arm of the New World Order. They're the arm. They're not American. You got people in there that are, but by and large, right now, they're one world government. So when you take a look at what's going on, 3 attempts. Won't be the last. I told you when he was elected, the hooks are so deep, they're not going to give this country up. They're not. They want global dominance. Anyways, if you oh, wrong mouse. No, come on. The Bluetooth didn't want to reach that far. If you liked anything about this, if it helped you think through this time that we're living in, if it helped you be able to connect dots, I appreciate a like and subscribe on Facebook and Rumble. And I tell Facebook that this is a paid promotion video, which it really isn't, but I have to do that so that I can say this. If you don't mind, stop by my Etsy shop, etsy.com/shop, Timothy's Enterprises. Take a look at the products, the puzzles, the cutting boards, the coffee mugs, the clocks, the cell phone holders that are centered around and display my landscape photographs. I would appreciate it. And thank you for sticking with me. This is kind of a off-the-cuff video. My next video is going to be in Nehemiah chapter 4 and some takeaways for spiritual and physical life. And those will be also here on Freedom and Survival. Let's see, there it is there. For everyday living and strategies for survival and self-defense. So the applications are going to be both spiritual and physical. And so if you don't mind, I'll be looking for that video. It's coming right up. And then after that will be a couple more videos that I've got nearly done in the broiler. So once again, thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.